Okay, let me start it. So in this demo, I'm just going to go through the concepts and as well as some demonstration how to host Kubernetes. The application, how to host the application into a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, and so these are things we are going to see, like what is architecture, AKS cluster architectures and Docker architectures, why Docker becomes so popular nowadays, and after that, how to host application cluster in AKS and how to create a Docker image, and how we are going to push that Docker image to the ACR, and how we are going to check. I'm not sure everybody aware of this. What is the ACR AKS cluster? But generally, whenever you have an application, I have built an application, correct? That building the application I'll keep as an image. That image I'll put it in ACR. Okay, so that is the thing. So let me go to the next slide. Okay, so this is small thing. I took one GitHub. Okay, then this is just I created one static website, and what I've done is I built that image, and after building I'll push it to my ACR. Then after that I host the application into the Kubernetes worker nodes. Okay, this is the overall idea, and I will create a pipeline where I define all these things, how to build it, how to push it, all these things are there. Okay. And if you see here, this is a Docker architecture. So if you see, this is the Docker architecture, how it pull and push. So before that, I'll just show you why Docker become so popular. If you compare any virtual machine with Docker, so Docker will run on any OS. Okay, so you can run in any OS like Ubuntu or Linux or any kind of OS. So if you see the architecture, okay, when you create a normal Hyper-V, okay, when you create an Hyper-V machine, so that time you have a Hyper-V infrastructure, and that OS you will build it. So it will be a readily occupied. App 1, App 2 will be a fixed image will be occupied. But in case of when you're hosting as a Docker image, okay, so it will be Docker image will sit on your OS. It will be a kernel. So this will tell that you can in single Docker image you can host multiple kind of application, and multiple kind of what is OS. One will be a Ubuntu, one may be a Windows, all this stuff. Okay. Okay. So after completing, can we speak? We can discuss this point. Is it fine? I can. Yeah, go ahead with your query. Nagendra, you can go ahead actually.
No, Jagan, no, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Shinja, you have any doubts for you? You raise your hand.
No, Jagan.
Just wanted to say, like, you have to go full screen or slideshow mode, so we can see it. If that will help everybody. I think there are a lot of questions regarding that, and maybe slightly slow on the basic understanding of containers and VMs, maybe on the grassroots level. That will help.
So I thought everybody has some basic understanding of. 1 second. Now it's fine.
Yes. This is fine.
Yeah. So basically, I think that everybody aware of what is Docker containers and how that basically it goes actually. So basically, when you why Docker becomes famous, because you can host application irrespective of any environment. Okay, so whether it is Ubuntu or Linux, any machine. Okay, so initial days, if I want to host a Java application in Ubuntu machine, I have to build application in Ubuntu machine for that particular OS, that particular dependency file, and have to host it. So OS is different, dependencies there, and my framework is dependencies there, all this stuff. But when you go for a container, it doesn't matter actually. So because you will tell that whenever you build an application in Dockerfile, you specify from which OS you are doing and what are the application you are going to build it. Okay, so that is the advantage. If you see the architecture, okay, why Docker is so popular is if you see the Docker engine desktop. In earlier days, we create some Hyper-V. Okay, so Hyper-V is like you can run. Why Hyper-V is so popular is like you can run your Windows machine and as well as your Linux machine in same thing, correct? But it will be occupied fixed disk. So if you are allocating 100 GB of data, if I'm installing say a Linux machine, say 20 GB, it will be fixed. But when you go for container, it's not like that. It will allocate based upon what is your application size, and it will be resized to that application. And it will talk to your. It won't directly talk to your directly. It will talk to your OS and your kernel. That is the way. This is like architecture. I mean, high-level diagram. Okay. And how I'm going to push the thing is basically I created one project, GitHub project. Here I created one pipeline. Okay. And this pipeline will tell to I will tell where is my Docker image, and I'll push this image to my ACR. And what happened? Whatever you have application, correct? That application will be hosted into my Kubernetes cluster. So in Kubernetes cluster, you have different kind of service. One is deployment and name. So basically, it is where to deploy, what to deploy, and what is my load balancer, all this configuration. So I'll show you this stuff, actually, this integration during the session. Okay. So this is like high level, and basically, if you see the Docker, okay, basically we build a Docker. So in order to build your Docker thing, for Windows, you need to install something called Docker Desktop. So I have it in my local, but this is like heavyweight actually. If you host it in, if you have a Linux or Linux machine or Ubuntu, it will be very lightweight, I guess. And what we are doing is basically, any application if you have, you build a Dockerfile, and that so Dockerfile will tell about what is your application, what you where you want to deploy it, what is your application path, all these things will be there. So initially you have to build your application, and how you build it, you should have a Docker file, and that file you will build it and you will deploy it. Okay, so where you will build it is you will build it in your local, and after that whatever you successfully build it, correct, you keep it in your repository, so that you will keep it in some registry, maybe your Azure ACR registry or your Docker hub. Okay, you will push your code to here, and later if you want to this image you want to deploy into some cloud or on-premise environment, you will pull it from here, any repository. Okay, so for that we'll use Docker pull. That will pull, and that will pull first. Initially when you pull it, it will pull from your local, whether that file is there in your local or not. If it's not there, it will pull from your registry. Okay, so Docker runs on your local thing. Okay. So that is the thing actually. So let me, that is the stuff actually. This is I'm going to do it. Right now we will see my project. So I have created one dummy project. Sorry, here. So if you go here, this is I created one project. So if you see, this is my Dockerfile. Basically, I'm taking from Nginx is one of the servers. It's a load balancer kind of thing. So I'm just copying this file, index.html, putting into my container. Okay, user.nginx in this file. So if you see here, basically I'm building. So if you go to index file, basically I'm just creating one static website and I'm showing. Okay, so this is the I'm going to build it and I'm going to deploy it. Okay, and that is the thing. So yeah. So here, this is a Docker file. This is an index file. I'm going to deploy into my Kubernetes cluster. Anybody has any other question? Okay. So PPT is that much only. So let me go for the demo point of view actually. So what I'm going to do is, oh my God, how to create a Docker file. No, Docker file is like, if I cover Docker file, then I will be going out of scope. I'm just going official documentation. Okay. Something. Okay, so if you see here, they are running Node.js. Okay, if you see here, what they're going to do is they're going to create one Docker file. Okay, so for that, what they've done is they're creating one Docker file. So in this Docker file, they're telling that from which application you are going to build. So you have to give from, this is my Node.js. So Node Alpine is, you have image, base image. Okay, Alpine is a Node base image. So if you have Ubuntu, you will mention say Ubuntu something. So this image you will get it from hub.docker compose file. Okay, and this is like a OS, some kind of where you want to go into it. So I'm going to create a folder called. So I'm going to create a folder called app. Inside app, I'm going to copy whatever there in my local directory. All the files of that thing, I'm going to copy into the container. So this is my source, this is destination. So I'm going to run this command, yarn install production. And after that, I'm running this cmd command. It's a cmd is running in the command mode and running this index page and exposing the port 300. Okay, now your Docker file, this is a Docker file. Okay, this is just an image. Okay, now once you created image, so this is like you builded the code. Now this builded the code, you have to deploy, you have to run it in your local, correct? So what they will do is, this image, they are going to build it. So I'm going to build, just giving the name to this. This is the name. I'm going to build the image with getting started. If you give dot, automatically system will understand, it will build this Dockerfile. So I'm going to build it. The name will be called getting started. Okay. After build it, okay, you have to run it, correct? So I'm going to run it. So Docker run. Okay. And I'm specifying my port number. This is my port number. This is my application port number. This is my container. So you have two ports. Like one is runs on your local, another runs on your container. Okay. So this is container and this is the image. If you run it, it will come your whatever your application you hosted, no? That image will come. That is the thing. Okay. So this is so basically you are running your application on your local on this port number 3030. So once you run it, it will come like UI like this. So why 3000 is we have exposed the port with 3000. Does it make sense? So now we are built Node.js without installing any framework. Like for Node, you need npm, other dependency file. We are not installing any other. So Dockerfile will tell and it will try to build all your dependency and everything, and it will run on this container. That is the thing. So when you install Docker desktop, it will try to run this. If you click on this, it will run. You will get an UI like this. Does it make sense actually? File is better. Image or nothing, just find it. We have it. Yes. Okay. Let me go to the. Okay. Let me go to the. One second. I created. Okay. This is my Docker file, and I created this GitHub. Okay. Now, what I'll do is, I'll go to my. Let me drag it. Okay. Now, so if you see here, I have created my containers. Okay. So if you see here, this is the container I created. So how I created is simple steps actually. I went here, create click. I just created my resource group and I just given some name and I selected basic because of price where you can select anything actually. And if you go to networking, okay, so it will always be public because of basic queue. And I'll give some tagging and review it. Then it will do some validation, and if I click create, it will be created. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm pushing my image to this registry. Okay, that is the thing. So let me cancel it. I'm going to use this one. Okay. Now, and another thing, I have created a Kubernetes also. Let me go to here. So this is a Kubernetes cluster I have created. So basically what I've done is, so this is like basic tier. So I can't create multiple Kubernetes cluster. So I'll just show you how I created. If you go to create Kubernetes and I select some resource group, and if I select based upon pricing, I just mention. So I say demo apps. So it will validate the entire Kubernetes cluster is available or not. So I'm not selecting, I'm hosting on this central US. you can select how much availability zone. I am not selecting because this is for demo purpose. Based upon that, price tier will change. So this is the default. I'm taking this one. And if you go to here, so this is actually your worker nodes. Okay, where whenever you create some pods, it will be created here. Okay, and if you go to access, this is like your authentication purpose, and this is to any kind of you want to configure like your master and to check your where the Kubernetes cluster creating, how many pods are created, that kind of configuration. So this is just integration with your ACR. Okay, that's fine. So I go to advanced. This is the tag, and if you give review and create, it will do it. In my case, it will fail because at a time only one I can able to create. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll go to the Kubernetes. We go to the CI/CD pipeline. So already have written for pipeline. I think Azure DevOps is similar kind of like Jenkins and other big kind of tool. AWS code pipeline like that, similar kind of thing. So here I try to create new pipeline. So that I will disable this one. Okay. If I am not disabling this, this also will run. So here I'm going to configure my CI/CD integration. I think CI integration is like nothing but you are integrating whenever user check in your code. I try to build my code, and it has to build it, and it has to artifacts your file, and it has to test. Before that, it has to do write unit test cases, and if anybody has written some Selenium test cases, that test case has to pass. All build kind of thing you can integrate it, but in this case I'm not doing. So all this thing you can integrate it through CI/CD pipeline, and finally we'll deploy into the particular clusters actually. Okay. So in this case, I'm just checking it up. So will authorize my access. So just take this one. Load it. So it will ask for my subscription. Okay. Come on. I need to give my token. Actually, I have enabled that kind of thing. So it will authenticate. Okay, so it will ask. So here I already define, I'm going to build it, push the image to ACR and deploy it to the Kubernetes cluster. So it will ask which cluster. This is my Kubernetes cluster. It's asking which namespace. I'm going to select default namespace. You have different kind of namespace are there in the Kubernetes, so I'm selecting this one. And it's asking which ACR. Okay, so we created on this ACR we are going to push. Okay, now I'm going to create a cluster and I'm going to deploy. So this is my Kubernetes cluster and this is my namespace for my cluster. Okay, namespace will be useful when you do deploy into different environments like PA, production, like that. So this is my registry. So basically what is going to happen is I'm going to build my application, deploy into my ACR. Okay, this image will be pushed here in my ACR image registry. From this image, it will pull to this, deploy into this Python AKS cluster. Okay, that is the thing. Validated. Okay, so when you create it, right, these are the script this file is automatically generated. So if you see here, this is the connection, service connection for your pipeline, and this is my image name. Okay, just added my image. So when in your ACR, you will create one image name, and this is my container registry name. So this registry, I'm going to keep this image. Okay. And this is my Dockerfile, which is there in that path. Okay, so I'm going to build it, and after build it, I'm going to tag as build ID. Okay, and this is your image secret key is your encrypting any kind of key. That is the thing. Okay, so I'm going to host as a Ubuntu image, but for us it doesn't matter actually. So this is agent. So these are the different stages actually. First, I'm going to build it, and so in that task, I have a Dockerfile, and this Dockerfile is located in this path, and I'm going to deploy it, okay, into this environment. If you see here, this is the action. I'm going to push it, and after that, once the image is pushed, okay, I'm going to deploy to the Kubernetes cluster. So this manifest and service line will tell that what is my deployment and what is my service layer, okay. And I'm going to create a container. I'm going to create a tag. So let me run it. Before that, okay, this is the name I'm going to create. Triggering the so just going to commit to the primary branch. So if you see here, it's trying to deploy. So basically, if you see here, it is pushing the image to my ACR, and my image is Nginx, so it is building. Okay, it is pulling the image. So when you use base image, so it is pulling, and after that it will deploy into the. So first it will build it in here. Once build is success, then it will deploy into the. So see here you can see the any kind of. See basically if you use GitLab runner or any other pipeline, there you can see the way any kind of whether build is success, there it's deployed, all the logs it will be there. Okay. So if we go here, I think it is. So it is pushed to the my ACR. I think it will go for approval. I think so. So this is going for approval. So basically, before deploying to anything, no, we can have some approval. You can't directly deploy. So just permit. Okay. So let it deploy. So meantime, welcome to so if you come here, this is the registry. Here one we push. You come here. Okay, this is a repository. So this is the image just now pushed right here. Here it is pushed 12:20, So you can pull this image actually. Basically, internally it will pull this image, Dockerfile, and this will be deployed to your Kubernetes. So already I configured my pod. So so this is my CLI command, okay, to see my service is up or not. So here you can see my whenever you deploy, correct, it will create with some container name, and this is a load balancer. So basically, it's like you create any kind of service, so load balancer will divert the traffic to your cluster. Okay, so let me put. Get pod. So pod is basically your cluster. Okay. So if you see here, this is my pod, and you can see my deployment also. So in this pod, okay, in this pod it is diverting the traffic here. Okay, and if you go to my Docker image. So just added this one actually. So this. Right. Okay. So this is the thing which it runs on code. So basically, it creates the load balancer. So 1 second, I'll show the load balancer. So internally it creates a load balancer actually. So this is the Kubernetes, so it will divert the traffic here. So in commands I have seen, no, this is the thing which created. So I got the IP and from that I am diverting the traffic. So this is the YAML file. If you want to deploy manually, you see here. Basically, if you want to deploy, if you want to develop from scratch, these are the we use actually deployment as one service. I mean deployment as one kind and service as one kind. So here you will tell that this is just a name and this is just a label. So how to associate and how many pods you want to replicate it. This name and this name should be matched, then only it will identify. So this is a template, and this is my container image. Okay, so where you want to host it and which port number. And similarly, if you see here, which port number, which load balancer, all this here. Okay, yeah, that's it from my end. Any question? Could you please? Yeah, sure. Sure. Voices. Now it's fine. Sorry. No, service port is like. Okay. You've seen this service port. Where you've seen the service port. This is the port where it will divert the target port actually. So basically, I'm telling my load balancer to listen to this port number. So I'm telling that both ports should be. I mean, somewhere we have internal port number, another is load balancer. So that two ports actually. That is the thing. And so if you you have to follow this convention. If you're not following, no, it will throw an error. So how I use this one is, I think if you are using AWS Marketplace, if you go to extension, okay, I don't know how to hide it. So if you go to extension, select for this AKS extension, I install this framework. So after that, whenever I create YAML file, any file, this will generate for me. So I won't make any mistake. That is it. So other questions actually. I think while creating the pipeline, the service code is not only that for that. So in pipeline, okay. In pipeline, no, actually, it will take default value actually. Okay. So actually, that is not a correct way to show the demo we are doing. So in pipeline also it will be there. You go here, I'll show you if you go to GitHub. Good question, but I'm not sure about this one actually. If you go for enterprise, then you can go for CNI. So, most of the case, this is like a command line interface. I think if you're going for any kind of enterprise kind of thing now, then you can go for Azure CNI. But most of the time, I use the Kubernetes thing. So once again, I'll show you. So here only I push it. If you see here, Yeah, port number won't be there. Okay, here it won't be any port because it will be there in this manifest. So this is just a pipeline. Okay, so pipeline tells that what are the tasks should be executed, and from after completing this task, what I have to do. So this has contained only task. I will push the image and I will deploy into Kubernetes. But real implementation, no, in deployment.yaml, service.yaml. This is the file example. So this is directly sit in your workspace, but actually, no, it will contain in this way only. So I'll show you, no, this one. It will be like this. I created a deployment as one thing and service is one. So this contains this one. So this one will only deploy your Kubernetes, your Docker image to this point. Okay. So any questions? Any tips? Who wants to start off? Yeah. DevOps. So for Azure DevOps, I've seen a lot of articles in if you go to, this is really good actually. Azure DevOps, some sample project, very good article. This lab is very good, but if you want to start from fresh now, if you want to start from fresh, I think in Udemy I've seen one guy was doing nice job actually. This guy. This is very good actually. Deploying to Kubernetes. This guy explains step by step how to create Kubernetes and how to host it in DevOps. And he was telling Terraform script also. Terraform is totally different. Okay. To understand this one, you can go with other DevOps. To understand the pipeline, you can take. If you go for any kind of cloud kind of thing, this is also very good actually. This would be go actually, but yeah, this two courses is very good actually. And how to keep this static in private cluster. Does the cluster IP change with each deployment? Yeah, if you terminate it, IP will change, but we won't terminate it. So whenever you do the changes, correct? Whenever you do the changes, your cluster will be in visible mode. Means it will be there. Only your pod will be destroyed and deployed. So IP won't change. So during each deployment, IP will be there. Your pods. So if you go here, if you go to kubectl, get pods, you will find a lot of pods here running. So this pod actually. So every time when you deploy it, it will terminate it or re-image like that it will come. So your IP cluster load balance IP will be same. And you have two IPs, one is external and another is internal. Usually you have to access, so if you want access outside your world, you will use public endpoint. Usually we won't expose outside. So for that we use the internal IP, that is your cluster IP, to use that. Yes, how to keep the static in private cluster. Yeah, private cluster. So in private cluster, like you can keep your clever clusters like specifying your network, not exposing your image to outside. So in that way, it will be a private cluster. Okay. So any more questions actually? Tips. Okay. Okay, I'll just put in the chat. So first, I create a Docker file. After that, usually after creating a Docker file, I will create a Docker build, specifying my tag and giving the image for my tag and giving what is this. Okay, and after that, I will just say that. Okay, after that I will. Okay, after that I will push my code some ACR. So for that, what I'm doing is go to Azure DevOps and go to create pipeline and select AKS with ACR and specify the cluster name and cluster name and your ACR pod name. Then automatically your pod will be okay. And okay, somebody asked how to check the log. Okay, so for example, if I want to see logs, okay, and so go to ID. So you put QCT. So this will tell. So here you can see that any kind of error, here, so there is no such file. This kind of will try to find it out, the error message actually. Okay, so it's trying to create a worker node, and so if any issue happens, you can see the errors here. So you have to specify. So basically, your application runs on the pod. Okay, so you can see in the pod. For example, this image seeing some issue. Logs, put the name, so here, so trying to pull the image and trying to pull image, and so it's starting to pull, but after that it's ending, skipping this one. So basically this will tell that what kind of issues are happening. Okay. Screen please. Can you see my screen? Okay. That's it from my end. Actually, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we can find it out. Sure. Sure. Thanks. Thanks for your support. Really great pleasure with you having a session. I'm sorry I have not covered a lot of stuff. I hope some of the things, those who are very new to the Dockers and Kubernetes, you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but if you go through any channels and things, you can able to understand. It's not a big deal. Okay. Yeah.
Can the recording link be shared?
I'm not sure. We have to check with who is the host.
Yes, we will share.
So end of the session, usually we have to destroy our stuff because cloud is always chargeable and applicable. Actually, I will delete. Yeah. You can destroy here also, then. But you can use delete and give the pod name. You can destroy, but it will be tedious because I'm going to do it here. So I go to resource group. Yeah, so I created so many stuff, so I deleted. And you can connect any kind of services using your Visual Studio toolkit. You can log in with AZ login. So if you log in, you can able to see any log into any cluster, and you can do all your CLI commands through here. Okay. You can push your image here to command line interface. So already I have logged in here actually. Once you log in, it will ask for subscription. Enter it, then you can see all the subscription. Since I already logged in, yeah. Okay, I think thank you guys. We meet you different session. Thank you. Bye. Kiran, you have.